Hey guys, it's Mark here. Today I wanted to talk to you guys about how to get up and running and recording with Pro Tools in less than 5 minutes. So what we're going to work on today is how to just get into Pro Tools, start your session, and get recording. When I first worked with Pro Tools, it was very overwhelming for me. I didn't really know how to use it, so I never touched it. I kind of kept it to the side. And not to show my age, but when I was first using Pro Tools, there was no YouTube, so it was very hard to get information on how to actually work and start. There's this program called Pro Tools Free that you could download on the internet, which was 8 tracks of Pro Tools. But I actually had it for years and I never used it because I just didn't know how to. So hopefully this tutorial will help you. Right now on my screen, I have pulled up my Focusrite Safari interface. It's just my program so I could have it all synced up. When you're going to record, obviously you need an interface to record your mic signal to then go into Pro Tools. So assuming you have your interface hooked up and assuming you have a mic ready to go, let's get our Pro Tools session up and running. That'd be the first step. So find your Pro Tools icon, click on it and launch it. Now, when you get ready to do your session, you're going to be able to create a new session or create a session from a template. I actually do a lot of similar recordings, so I usually have some templates set up to do recording. So if you come up top here, create session from template, there's a bunch of different places you can pick templates from to do your own work that are pre-set up for you. Basically, I'm not going to use this. I'm going to just create a blank one because I'm going to start it from scratch. But if you do a lot of recordings, I would suggest make a template, make it easier for you when it comes to set up. Then down at the bottom, if you don't see this little drop down, click on your little arrow next to session parameters. Here it does the wave file or audio file. I usually leave it on wave. Your bit depth, your sample rate, which my interface will go up to 96K, and your I/O settings. Typically leave it on last used because it'll keep up with whatever you use last for your interface. Now, a lot of people will always argue that the higher the sample rate, the better the sound quality, because the higher the sample rate means your computer's taking more snapshots of the audio waveform as it's in the computer. So more snapshots means a better signal, which is true. But to me, I think the better the signal, the better the quality that you have going into your computer depends on the gear that you're running your mics and everything through, not just the sample rate. A higher sample rate is not going to make something that doesn't sound good all of a sudden. So make sure the equipment that you're using sounds good. Now for this test, I'm going to end up recording a song and I'm going to bounce it down to MP3. So since MP3 is a compressed file format, I'm going to pick 44.1 for my sample rate and 16 bits for my bit depth. Now, if you guys recall, even though a lot of people don't use CDs too much anymore, a CD is 44.1K and 16 bit. That's actually the sample rate and bit depth for a CD. Since MP3 is more compressed than a CD, I don't feel a need to record any higher than that quality. It's just going to take up space. So I'm going to leave 44.1, 16 bit. Now we have to save it and name it and put it somewhere. For this example, I'm going to go to my desktop. I'm just going to create a new session. And what you'll want to do is name it whatever your session is and save it someplace that you know you can get to it, because that's the biggest thing. I've had people forget where they save stuff. So right now I'm in my edit window. If you go to window up top here, you can flip between your edits and your mix window. You have nothing in your mix window yet because you have no tracks. A quick key to jump between your windows is Command equals or Apple equals. So since I'm using a Mac, I hold down the Apple key or Command and hit equal, and I can jump back and forth between the two. That will really help save time and get you moving quicker with Pro Tools. So we have our mic set up and we want to record a guitar track. So first thing we want to do after we have this set up is we want to go to track and we hit new. So when we hit new track, in this window you can select how many tracks you want, whether it's mono or stereo, whether it's audio, aux, master, MIDI, instrument, and you can do it in samples or ticks. I'm going to leave it in samples. I'm going to record mono because it's not a stereo instrument that I'm doing. Something you would record in stereo might be a piano or a keyboard. You might do an acoustic guitar in stereo, but I'm just going to do a single guitar track, so I'll do it in mono. Hit create. So now I have my track. And if I jump to my mix window, which is Command equals, you can see over here I have my track. So without jumping into bells and whistles and how to do a bunch of other things, I will jump into that later on. This is your basic track, and the first thing we want to do is name the track. always want to name your track. So double click on it, and we're going to change this to guitar left. I'm going to call this. If you don't name your track, every time you record, you're going to have these audio regions in here that say audio 1 or audio 2 or audio 3. And it might not seem like a big deal, but later if you're searching for audio files and you have to replace something or fix it, it's going to be hard to cycle through all the audio stuff as opposed to just all the guitar left. All right, so now we have our track set up. What we'd want to do next is we want to make sure we're on the right input. So if you go over here to your I/O, the top one is your input, the bottom one is your output, and this should always default to your main left and right. So I want to go to analog input 1 and go to your interface, and it will list all the inputs your interface has. I have 8 inputs. I have 8 analog and 8 digital. My mic is going to be on input 1, so I'm going to leave it on input 1. Your tracks normally default to the first input you have, or if you create 4 tracks in a row, it will default the inputs to input 1, input 2, input 3, input 4. So if you're having issues checking your signal and getting signal, always check your input first. After that, what you'll want to do is you'll want to set up your record. You'll want to record arm your track. So if you go over here, you click on this, and this record arms your track. So then if you have any signal going through your interface, you'll see the signal there. So what I'm going to do really quick, just for the sake of an example right now, because I don't have my guitar hooked up at the moment, I'm just going to talk into my mic that's right here. You'll probably hear me clicking in my mic. I'm going to talk into it really quick. So I put it in input 1, and I'm going to just turn up the mic level, and now you can see I have mic level. Now what you typically want to do is when you're setting your levels, you want to get it so it's in the yellow, but it's not peaking in the red like that, and it's not really low like this in the green. You kind of want your signal to sit around in the yellow. That will give you a really good space for your sound to record in. It'll give it good level. It won't be too low where you're hearing a lot of the room tone coming through, and also it won't be too hot where you don't have enough headroom to mix it. So after that, the next thing you want to do is you're going to have to go to your main record button. So up here in my transport, if you don't see your transport settings up here, if you don't see the record, right click in this box and you'll see zoom controls, transport controls. Your transport might be turned off and it might look like this. You can also, if you don't want to right click, you can go to the arrow here. So make sure your transport settings are on. And then what you're going to do is you're going to click on the record button, and your record button is going to flash, which means it's record enabled. And then from there, you want to hit your play button or hit your space bar, because your space bar can play too. I have mine set to loop record right now. I'll turn that off, so it should look like that. But you can hit play up here or your space bar, and now it's going to start recording tracks. As you can see, my level's going, and you can actually see my waveforms coming up as I record. So I'll just go through, I'm just kind of talking, and when I'm done, just hit the space bar or the stop. I usually just use my space bar. And there's my first wave file. If you flip to your mix window, you can also see signal, and you have a little bit of a better UV meter to see a little bit more where your signal is actually coming in and what level it's hitting at. It's a little bit better than this small guy here. So now we have the track. If I want to hear it, I'm going to disengage the record arm, and I'm going to just hit the space bar or the play to play it. And now it's going to start recording tracks. As you can see, my level's going, and you can actually see my waveforms. So as you can see, I actually just recorded what I was saying to you, and now you have your track. I mean, it's that simple. Now you have it recorded, and you just hit play to hear it back. If you want to mix your levels, go to your mix window and adjust your fader. One thing I will say is don't forget Control S, or for Apple, Command S, and always save your work. If not, go to File, go to Save if you haven't, but always save your work. After every track I record, I always save my work. The last thing you want to do is do 4 different tracks of recording and then you didn't save any of it. That is always a killer. So that is basically getting Pro Tools up and running in 5 minutes. Video might be longer than 5 minutes because I talked a little bit more, but you can get up and running and record a signal that quick in less than 5 minutes. So Pro Tools isn't that complicated, it's just getting into the basics. So this is part one of setting up your recording. I'll also post a video of setting up your interface as well to show you guys what you can do with that in the weeks to come. So I hope you enjoy that. I hope now you don't feel intimidated by Pro Tools and you can jump into it and get recording. If you have any questions, just leave me a message. All right, thanks so much, guys. Have a good day.